Hey guys, welcome back for your weekly updates. So today I'm going to be doing Bitcoin BTC versus the US dollar, all time frames. And finally we have something to talk about here because we just had the closing of the monthly candle and also the weekly candle and obviously the daily candle, which closes every day. But the monthly and the weekly are very important at this particular time because it doesn't happen all that often that the price approaches one of the moving averages on the monthly chart. If you see here for all this more than 1 year without touching any moving average. It's not that often that the price touches moving averages in the monthly scale. So when the price is approaching or touching any moving average on a monthly chart, that's an important event that you need to have into account because longer time frame moving averages are very, very strong support and resistance. Like you can see here, the price just doesn't ignore the 20-month moving average. It just stays above it for a very long time, you know, before deciding, am I going to bounce and go up or I'm going to break below it? Like it just doesn't go below it all that easily. You see here it broke and it capitulated down to the 50-month moving average, but it took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and on the 6th month it broke below it. So usually moving averages on bigger time frames are very, very strong supports and resistance. Not here. On a monthly scale, we can see here the price just went below it like nothing, and then it became resistance. But that's just one time in the whole history. Like the rest, it's always very good support or resistance. Like because there's no indicator in technical analysis that will work every single time forever. Sometimes, the price will go the other way. But usually, the 20-month moving average is a very significant moving average. So, as expected, the price closed, this previous monthly candle, the price closed above it, like it wants to bounce on it or at least hold above it. So that's bullish. But because on smaller time frames, which we will see in a minute, because smaller time frames are not looking all that strong, I say it's very possible during this new monthly candle here that just started today, the price can go all the way down to retest the bottom of this candle at 33, and it can also go all the way up to the top of this candle at 47 or 48,000. We can see high volatility in smaller time frames, and it would be very normal. So if the price during this month goes all the way back to 33,000, I wouldn't be worried at all. I still expect this new monthly candle to close above or right on the 20-month moving average, and we will still be leaning to bullish, like expecting a bounce on the moving average. But it doesn't have to bounce this month. It can be here, like I said, can be here several months, not several, I wouldn't expect 6 months sideways here, but maybe 1-2 months would be very normal. The price stays here near the 20-month moving average and maybe then bounce or maybe break down. But for now, for the next 1 to 2 months, I would expect the price to continue to close above the 20-month moving average, which is right now at 38,000 more or less, and it's uptrending, so it'll get higher the longer we go. So I expect the next monthly candles to continue to close above the 20-month moving average, even if the price during this month goes all the way down to retest the bottom. I hope it's clear what I'm explaining here so far. So that's what I have for the monthly. Now let's move on to the weekly. Similar situation. This candle that just closed it's a bullish closing because one, it's a hammer candle. You see, it's got a long lower shadow here, which means there's a lot of support. So that's a bullish pattern for candlesticks. Also, it's bouncing. This qualifies as a bounce on the 100-week moving average, which is also a strong moving average. The longer the time frame, the stronger the moving averages are. So this can qualify. This could have been the bottom. It didn't quite touch the 100 week moving average. So like I said, because smaller time frames are not looking very strong, it can easily, you know, bounce a little bit and then come back down to retest the bottom. And by the time it gets down here, the 100 week moving average, because it's uptrending, it might touch the price and then make it bounce harder. So another bullish thing in this weekly close is that the price closed above all this area of support and resistance here. You can see all the long lower shadows and upper shadows. It means this range here, which goes from 30,000 to 41,000, this is a choppy area here where there's a lot of support and resistance. I mean, obviously the lower you go, the more support you have, and the higher you go, the more resistance you have. But this is a choppy area where there's a lot of support and resistance. And the weekly closed above 35,000, which indicates it's being supported by all this choppy area here. Let's see if I can do it with a rectangle here. So from here to here we have all this support, right? And the weekly all this support here, you see? And then from here and above this green area, we're gonna start to find resistance. But at least the weekly closed above this area, all this area of support, which means it's bouncing, and it's also bouncing on the 100 week moving average, and it's also a hammer candle. It's also very extended on the other side, extended down, which means anytime this is due for a bounce, right? And for the other side to start uptrending here. Volume seems to be picking up as well, right at the bottom, so that's a good sign. So generally this is more bullish than bearish. Let's move on to the daily. So the daily is looking pretty weak. If you see, since this downtrend started, you see when it goes down very strongly, and when it bounces very slow, like weak, and then boom, it crashes very fast on the downside, and then when it bounces it's like more like going sideways and up, but very slowly, and then when it goes down, boom, it goes down very fast, and then it bounces very weak, and then again another crash, and it goes up very slow. You see, that shows weakness. And so that's why, because the smaller time frames, the daily and smaller, are looking weak. I wouldn't be surprised the price when it, you know, after it finishes this little upswing here, when it goes down again, I wouldn't be surprised it comes all the way down to retest the bottom, or even slightly below it, just to trigger some more stop losses and shake the most amount of people out of the markets. But generally, I think this was the bottom of this downtrend. If it's not, like I said, it could go a little bit below it, like make a wick below it. I wouldn't be surprised about that. But generally, I think this area from 30 to 33,000 was the bottom of this downtrend, because bigger time frames are bouncing on very strong moving averages. So that's mainly the reason. I don't think the price is going to go below the 100 week moving average, and at the same time the 20-month moving average, you know, without getting a decent bounce here first. We are due for a bounce here, and the price is right on bigger time frames moving averages. So I hope this is clear, guys. I think the daily and smaller are weak, so we can see a lot of volatility here, go all the way down, maybe to test the bottom. I'm not saying it's going to happen, I'm saying it's possible. Still, I expect the weekly and monthly candles to close again above their big moving averages. The 4 hours and the 4 hours, we can see there was a lot of volume here at the bottom, signaling a reversal. So again, there's many things telling me here this was the bottom of the downtrend. But again, I wouldn't be surprised that this at some point, because it's looking pretty weak. You see, it's going like, I wouldn't be surprised this goes all the way down here to make a double bottom or even a triple bottom by the time the new monthly candle that just started today. We still have 28 days for that candle to close. In 28 days, we could, I wouldn't be surprised we see a double or even a triple bottom and then a bounce to close again above the 20-month moving average. But yeah, for now, smaller time frames are looking weak. If this makes it above the 100, the yellow moving average is the 100 period moving average. So the next level of resistance would be here, all this area here, if you see, and this is approximately $40,000. We have a lot of resistance at $40,000. So if we can make it above the 100 period moving average sometime soon, I would expect this to get rejected and make a little downswing here when it touches around $40,000. So that's what I have for shorter time frames. The short message, generally bullish in bigger time frames and not looking very strong in smaller time frames. Hope this is clear. Little talk about the long-term cycle. I don't think this was the top of the market. I think this area here, it's more like the pre-bubble, before the bubble, like we usually have. Like this part here was like, it was already a bubble, and it was rejected like 70%, I believe. From the top of this thing to the bottom, yeah, almost 80%, but it happened very quick. It didn't go into a multi-year bear market. So I think, if you ask me, I think it's more likely we are in the pre-bubble, before the bubble, than not at the top of the market like in here or in here. Just because of the patterns, the pattern of the chart, like this just really doesn't look like a top of the market that leads into an 80% correction for a multi-year bear market. It would be the first time Bitcoin would disappoint this much, because really that we had a very long bear market here and a very short bubble. If this was to be the top of the bubble, like it would be the first time that this happens. It usually bull markets are way longer, and I count the bull market from here, not from here, because this was just sideways. It wasn't really uptrending. It's just a consolidation and accumulation part of the market, just like this part here, right? From this low to this low here, all this part is just sideways accumulation, just like this part here. So counting from here, really, like we had all this long bear market and only this short bull market, I would be very surprised that's the case. I think either this cycle is going to be longer, and the top, I would say at least 200K for BTC before really entering a multi-year bear market. Or if this was really the top of the market, we could be correcting to 80%, which would be more or less, I'd say it's possible we correct down to the peak of the previous bubble here, which would be more or less at the same level with the 50-month moving average, which historically always supported the bottom of the bear market. So that would be the deepest, but I don't think it's going to be a multi-year to get there. It would be something faster like this, because really the bull market didn't last that long here. So that's what I have for the long-term cycle. Yes, it doesn't really look like the classic top of the bubble for crypto. It has to go way higher and way faster to really call it a bubble. So if we do have a bear market now, I wouldn't expect it to last more than a year. I think it would happen pretty quick and then bounce. But hey, what do I know? You know, a lot of things are going on around the world, and Bitcoin could be affected. Yes, we could be going into a multi-year bear market. I don't have a crystal ball, but I would be surprised as things look right now. This is what I have for the price of Bitcoin this week. Guys, I started sharing more content on my free Telegram channel. So if you're interested, go ahead and subscribe here. I will be posting a little bit more often than on YouTube, obviously, because I only upload once a week on YouTube. So, I'll be sharing some polls. Now and then I'll be sharing some of the videos that I make for private members. I will share it here on Telegram, and I'll be posting a little bit more often than on YouTube. If you're interested in the private membership, go ahead and do it this week, because next week I'm going to raise the prices. By the time I upload my next video on Tuesday, I will raise the prices. Right now it's so cheap. It's $50 for 3 months of subscription. So yeah, if you're interested, do it now. I have been very busy, building things for my website, the Telegram bot, and like many things, but now it's almost everything is ready to go. So now I have more time to post on the free Telegram channel. And yeah, it's time to raise the prices, because honestly, I already spent more money putting everything back together than what I made from my subscriptions, from my paid subscriptions. So that's that. And if you're interested in free education, you can find the link below for my website, and there I have all my courses and tutorials. It's open. You can just go, click, and watch. Don't need to give your email address or anything like that. So that's all for this week. Thank you guys very much for joining me, and I'll see you next Tuesday. Bye.